Welcome to EduCasts, home of EduCasters. No theory is without its critics and implementation hurdles. For SCT to truly take root in the sprawling, standards-driven landscape of American education, it must address the skepticism and the logistics of change. The number one criticism leveled against situated cognition is the problem of transfer. Critics argue that if knowledge is completely inseparable from its context, then how can students use what they learned in the classroom outside the classroom? If learning to mix cement is only good for mixing cement, then the situated approach seems too narrow for general education. SCT offers a powerful rebuttal. 1. Transfer is a myth of decontextualization. The reason students often fail to transfer abstract knowledge is precisely because it was learned without context. They are trying to haul inert files out of storage. 2. True transfer is adaptation of practice. SCT posits that transfer isn't about moving an exact file. It's about adapting a flexible set of practices, tools, and cognitive strategies to a new but related situation. Learning to troubleshoot a complex electrical circuit, an authentic activity, trains the student in general problem solving, diagnostic thinking, documentation, and systematic testing. When faced with a novel problem, say a plumbing leak, the student doesn't transfer the electrical facts, but they transfer the practice of systematic troubleshooting. 3. Encouraging abstraction within context. Situated learning doesn't forbid abstraction. Instead, it argues that meaningful abstraction, understanding the core transferable principle, can only happen after the student has experienced the concept in multiple diverse contexts. The learner abstracts the rule from the practice, not before it. By engaging in multiple varied projects, students are better able to see the common underlying structure. Practical hurdles in the American system. The challenge of implementing SCT on a large scale in the U.S. is not theoretical, but logistical and political. The standards and testing machine. The vast majority of American school funding, accountability, and political capital are tied to standardized tests, which reward exactly the type of decontextualized, recall-based knowledge that SCT argues is inert. It's a tough row to hoe when accountability metrics don't align with deep learning goals. Teachers often feel pressure to teach to the test, pushing them back toward lecture and rote memorization. Time and resources. Authentic activities, PBL, case studies, cognitive apprenticeships take significantly more time and resources than traditional instruction. You can cover the French Revolution in 2 lectures, but a situated document analysis project on the French Revolution might take 3 weeks. Furthermore, authentic tasks require access to real-world tools, mentors, and resources, which can be a strain on underfunded districts. Scaling the master practitioner. It is much easier to train a teacher to deliver a prepared lecture than it is to train them to be a fluid, expert coach who can model subtle thought processes, diagnose individual student struggles in real time, and effectively scaffold complex tasks. This requires a profound reimagining of teacher training and professional development, moving from workshops on strategies to genuine, sustained collaboration in professional communities of practice. The cultural inertia. American culture has a deeply ingrained factory model of education. The idea that learning is a solo enterprise and that the quietest, most disciplined student is the best. The active, noisy, collaborative nature of a situated co-P can feel chaotic or unproductive to parents and administrators steeped in traditional expectations. Changing this cultural mindset is often the hardest part of the whole operation. A natural extension of situated cognition is distributed cognition, DC. DC argues that cognitive processes are not restricted to the individual brain, but are distributed across the elements of a system, people, tools, and the environment. This aspect of CT makes it incredibly relevant for the modern, tech-saturated world. The modern learner's cognition is fundamentally distributed. No one today solves a complex problem, be it financial planning, medical diagnosis, or logistics management, without relying heavily on external tools and collaborators. Tools as cognitive extensions. When a student uses a calculator, a spreadsheet, a graphing program, or a sophisticated research database, They are not just performing a secondary action. They are actively reorganizing their cognitive labor. The spreadsheet handles the tedious calculations, freeing the student's mind to focus on the higher-level practice of interpretation, strategic planning, and pattern recognition, the work of the expert. SCT encourages teachers to embrace these tools rather than forbidding them, because they are the authentic tools of the practitioner COP. Collaborative digital environments. Technologies like shared documents, project management software, and collaborative coding platforms are inherently situated. They force students to negotiate meaning, share resources, and create a shared external representation of their work, making the collective knowledge of the COPE visible and accessible. Learning the social and technical protocols for collaboration in these digital environments is a crucial 21st century practice. The Internet as distributed memory, the ability to look up a fact is no longer the key skill. The key skill is knowing what question to ask, how to evaluate the credibility of the answer, source analysis, and how to synthesize information from multiple sources. SCT recognizes that the Internet acts as a distributed memory bank, changing the definition of knowing from recalling to strategically retrieving and applying. By adopting a distributed and situated perspective, education moves away from training students to be human encyclopedias and toward training them to be powerful, collaborative, tool-using problem solvers, which is what the modern workforce actually needs. Situated cognition theory is far more than an academic curiosity. It is a foundational philosophy that offers a necessary correction to the limitations of traditional, decontextualized education. It reminds us that learning is a messy, social, tool-mediated, and context-dependent process, just like life itself. The core message of SCT is that knowledge is inseparable from its use. By transforming classrooms into communities of practice, organizing curriculum around authentic activities, and adopting pedagogies rooted in cognitive apprenticeship, American educators can bridge the frustrating gap between knowing and doing. We move from passive intake of inert information to active mastery of adaptable practices. While the challenges of implementation are real, from overcoming the entrenched culture of standardized testing to providing teachers with the training and resources to become true master practitioners, the payoff is immense. Embracing situated learning is the key to cultivating students who are not merely proficient at regurgitating facts, but who are truly equipped with flexible, robust, and transferable skills. It's about getting students into the game, giving them the right tools, and coaching them until they can put in the elbow grease and ultimately find their own place at the center of the practice. This is how we move American education from the chalkboard to the cutting edge, ensuring our graduates are ready to take on the whole shebang of the real world.